pregnancy has a fatal abnormality incompatible with life. And my bill enables them, if they feel that they can't continue with that pregnancy, waiting for the baby to die, to terminate it here in Ireland, surrounded by their family and friends. Instead, you propose inaction, condemning those people to a lonely journey, most likely to Liverpool, surrounded by holidaymakers and business people, while the bottom falls out of their world, and then to come home and have the ashes sent in a jiffy bag and a DHL van. It's cruel, it's inhumane, it's torture, it's a violation of human rights, and it is avoidable. 80% of the people have said they want you to do something about this. The three masters of the maternity hospitals, the United Nations Human Rights Commission, and 43 legal experts have said you can do it. Not just that, 50 Dáil deputies, including half the cabinet, have said something must be done. Now, what I want to know is, what is that something, and who's going to do it? If not us, who? If not today, when? Because people are sick of excuses. And the only reason advanced to oppose this is the allegation that it is unconstitutional. Now, Taoiseach, you know that that is rubbish, because only the High Court and the Supreme Court can adjudicate on whether something is constitutional or not, and they have not done so in this instance. All you have is the opinion of the Attorney-General, and with the greatest respect to her, she's not infallible, she's a human being, she's been at least once proved wrong in the case of the children's referendum. And these issues are too important to leave it at that. I want to see her opinion before this vote, because so many people disagree. So what I'm asking you, Taoiseach, is firstly, are you going to publish the Attorney-General's decision so that we can see it? Do you think it's appropriate that highly paid parliamentarians are expected to come in here and vote on such critical issues like nodding donkeys without full possession of the facts? At the very least, can we have the date of that opinion and a confirmation that it relates to my bill and not other generalities? And finally, can you justify why the constitutional amendment that you claim gives rise to the reason why you can't support my bill was brought in here on a free vote without a whip over 30 years ago, and in this era of democratic revolution you can't give your backbenchers a vote on this? Would it not be better, would it not be in relation to adhering to our human rights, should you not allow the President to refer this to the Supreme Court under Article 26? In 60 days we could have an end to the misery that families are going through today or tomorrow. Or do you think it's okay to have us violating international human rights?
The first thing I'd say to Deputy Daly is that the reason that you're able to bring your bill here is that the government reformed Dáil procedures to allow for backbench deputies like yourself to be able to bring bills before the House, and that's a right and proper thing to do, and it's your right to bring a bill before the House. This is a very sensitive matter, and in all these cases they're quite tragic for the woman in particular involved, for the mother of the unborn child. However, Deputy Daly, you don't own the Constitution, nor do I. You can't change the Constitution, nor can I. It is the people's Constitution, and it is only they who can change it. There's been a long-standing situation in this country where the advice given by the Attorney-General of the day has never been published. And I want to say to you that Article 15(2) of the Constitution, which you're well aware of, says quite clearly that it's not lawful for legislators to vote for something that they know is repugnant to the Constitution. Now, what you want to do is fly in the face of all that, pass a piece of legislation and then have it tested by the Supreme Court. I suggest to you, Deputy Daly, that that is not the way to go. This is a far more serious matter than the sensitive case that you're mentioning here, because when you talk about the Eighth Amendment, you talk about a whole range of of other complicated issues beyond this particular one here. So when you say do something about it, it's not going to be done in respect of Article 15, Article 15.2 and this particular issue. So your bill you're quite entitled to bring your bill under the process of reform here, but you do not own the Constitution. It's the people's Constitution, and they're the only ones who can change this. So for you to believe that we can introduce a piece of legislation which is contrary to the Constitution and then send it off to the Supreme Court is not the way to go about the business.
Deputy Daly.
Thanks, Count Corla. Your retort, or lack of it, is an absolute insult to the families who are enduring this situation. It is the people's constitution, and laid down in law is the fact that only this House can bring in legislation and only the courts can interpret it. So how dare you attempt to have the arrogance to interpret the constitution when that is only something which our courts can do? That is a fact. And we have had bodies, hardly the most radical, the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, Amnesty International, the National Women's Council, the Irish Family Planning Association, multiple legal people on record telling you that you can do this under the Constitution. The Attorney General is one person. You are right that Article 15 says that we cannot bring in things that are repugnant to the Constitution. Repugnant means something which is clearly and undeniably unconstitutional. This is clearly and undeniably not that case. How do I know that? Because the previous Attorney General argued exactly as I am arguing now, that this is entirely within the remit of the 8th Amendment to be legislated now. Can I put it to you, Taoiseach? What you've done is a cop-out. If you believe that the Constitution is a problem, and you want to help the families, as some of your backbenchers and ministers have said, what are you going to do about it? And how do you justify the fact that before Christmas, when I had tabled a precise amendment of that Constitution, that you voted against it? Are you telling us now that in the spate of referenda that are planned for the spring, that this is going to be included? Because if you're not saying that, then you're letting these families down, and quite frankly, you're a hypocrite.